prepared yet.
You need to try and pick off the units as... Look at the shields on the Martin.
Oh my god, the drone's gonna take him!
What's up, everybody? This is Pain User.
And this is Cat's Pajamas.
And we are back at you guys with Game 2 between 6Jack's DDE and Fnatic MSI's Fenix. DDE spawning as our Blue Terran at the 12 o'clock position. And down south at the 6 o'clock, we have Fenix. Fenix playing a very, very impressive Game 1. Able to maintain a superior tank count throughout the entire game and was able to pick off tanks throughout the entire game. And really, that is so important in TVT. If you're able to not only outproduce your opponent in tanks, but you're able to diminish his tank count on the same note, that really told the story of the game. Because at the end there, he just had so many more tanks.
No, absolutely. And the really interesting part to me, too, was that DDE didn't do a lot as far as trying to do little harassment or drops or things like that to try and work his way back in economically. He kind of just lined up for a big engagement or drove everything down to the 4th. He managed to take out the 4th, deny the economy on the 3rd, but he had no way to counter the units that were coming at him from Fenix whatsoever. He didn't have a prayer of stopping it. Yeah. And Fenix just steamrolled through all of his bases.
Man, you're messing with my Jedi mind tricks. I thought you were going to say overt harassment, but it didn't come.
Aww.
Just the harassment.
You know me too well. It's okay. I'm trying to throw you off.
I wanted the overt harassment followed by subsequent drops. But it didn't come out. But anyway, Fenix now opening without gas. Both players opening. Oh, no, we do have a gas from DDE. Last game, both players opened with gas. They have very similar build orders. But, and we have a late gas coming out of Fenix here. I don't know that really signifies anything other than the fact that he just wanted, a little mineral boost early on. Probably trying to get that CC up just that much faster. Sure. Not too important to have your factory at an uber early timing in TVT unless you're trying to do some sort of Marine Hellion push or something like that. And this time, we are going to have DDE opening once again with a Reaper. He loves doing that Marine Reaper push in the early game.
Yeah, and it can be effective, but he didn't really use it to its full effect last time around, so I'd like to see him keep it as a delayed scout a little bit more as well. I think that through a large part of it, even though he knew his opponent was going to that Marine tank build, he didn't really know how many factories there were. He didn't really know exactly what was coming at him, and it seems like he just didn't want to keep that back and use that as a delayed scout. So we'll see.
You know why? One reason I think is because I've seen DDE, and I've actually lost to DDE, just flat out with a 1 SCV, 1 Marine, 2 Reaper push that I've seen him do.
Yeah.
And if you add any kind of add-on onto your racks, if you try and throw a reactor onto your racks, that push comes right as your reactor is finishing on your barracks. So if you've only produced 1, maybe 2, even 3 Marines out of a normal racks, and you notice Fenix is not putting an add-on on his racks, he can actually come in, have the SCV tank the initial hits, the Marine can tank the rest of the hits, and the 2 Reapers will just slaughter whatever kind of Marine count you have, and then he can just pick off so many SCVs. He's not going to outright win the game, but it's a build that can allow him to pick off a ton of SCVs. It really works on some of the much larger maps, and we do have the resemblance of a push, and we do have the 2 Reaper push coming out of DDE right here. This is something he loves to do. I've seen him just outright win games with this before, with the 2 SCVs to screen hits as he comes up the ramp, and that is what really makes this build so effective. And it looks like he is going to get spotted by a Hellion right here. That Hellion taking tons of damage, immediately goes down, and we do have 4 Marines from Fenix, and those are going to have to seal the deal here. I don't know if these Reapers are going to be able to do as much damage as I thought they were. He will kill all the Marines, and he's definitely going to be able to pick off a few SCVs here.
Yep, absolutely. Oh, but the Hellion comes out, and that does stop the pressure there out of DDE, so DDE loses that, but not before he kills a ton of Marines and a couple of SCVs as well, along with denying the command center there out of Fenix for a while. Now, interesting to note, while this was going off, DDE did put down second gas before, actually he dropped down his command center, then put down his his command center, then put down a factory, and he is going over to Marine tank build after that. So interesting to note there. He
One
does
other
have
thing that's very interesting to note is that Fenix built precisely 4 Marines before adding that reactor on his rack. So I can't help but think that he didn't know that Reaper pressure was coming, or that some kind of early pressure build was coming out of DDE, because usually you don't see that out of players. And Fenix trying to pressure a little bit here with Hellions, going to pull those out of there. There's nothing he's going to accomplish, but he will be able to maintain a presence in the middle of the map. And it looks like both players might be trying to get out a Banshee here. Fenix going to get his Banshee out quite a bit earlier. However, DDE does have Cloak on the way, and that will finish quite a while before Fenix's Banshee will even have Cloak. I don't even think Fenix is going to get Cloak.
No, probably not.
He's just going to poke in there and try and do a little bit of damage.
Yeah, and Fenix really going for more Hellions as well, only now transitioning off of those and putting the tech lab down onto the factory. So I don't know what he hopes to accomplish with this. He's going to come up here. He's going to find an expansion, yes, but he's going to find a couple of tanks are ready for him, just the same as he saw before. So Fenix loses 2 Hellions, only takes out 1 Marine, does get the scouting information of another orbital command in place, but I figured that he would have thought that was coming anyway with the dual Reaper build that came at him before. So, DDE with Banshee number 1 about to make its way up. Here comes Fenix, though. Banshee is making its way in, does manage to pick off a couple of SCVs right away, and the next SCV does manage to make its way in. Always oh so annoying whenever you're harassing, and looks like, wow, actually DDE is going to have to try. Okay, here's what he's doing. He's going to try and drive this Banshee off however he can. He knows he's going to suffer some losses. What he's hoping is that his counter Banshee, especially with the Cloak, is going to equalize this amount of damage and catch him up in everything he loses.
And wow, Fenix just absolutely making the best out of this Banshee, getting so much out of it. 2 hit points left on this Banshee, and he's really putting some mileage on it, but it might get... Oh! And that
Hero
single
Marine
blows up the Banshee, but we do have a cloaked Banshee. Well, a Banshee with cloaked, not currently cloaked. There we go. He does cloak that Banshee, but... how far are we away on the orbital? There is a scan indeed on the main orbital, and he might be... No, not quite going to be able to kill that Banshee, and that is the pits in TVT when you scan, and it is able to just eke its way out of that scan range and start to take out all your SCVs. Super frustrating. Not going to be able to get that turret up either, so this Banshee is just going to have free reign. Gets taken out by the scan from the natural there, so the Banshee finally does get taken out, and relatively even.
Yep, absolutely. That Banshee came back and actually got 9 worker kills there, whereas it looks like Fenix is able to get 12 with his, so not a terrible loss there for DDE. Did equalize a lot of that, and he's swinging in with another Banshee because he invested in Cloak. He's put more resources into this, and he needs to do a little bit more damage to equalize what was lost before. Fenix, on the other hand, though, was going to push up with a pretty good size force. This is actually going to do pretty good damage, and he's going to sit siege up here and start attacking this production. So DD gathers up his forces. At the same time, he's moving back and killing yet more SCVs. He has already killed another 5 SCVs, gonna get himself a 6, and he'll be able to get some down here at the natural as well, flying back. At the same time, looks like DD is going to lose a barracks, but this doesn't really matter to him until he can get those units elevated up there. He's more worried about the amount of damage that he's doing with this Banshee, which is just not being countered at all.
Yeah, there's not really much he can do about it. He brought both of his Vikings with the push. They are spotting onto the high ground, but Fenix has managed to work himself into that sweet spot, and we should really keep an eye on this because it's only a matter of time before DDE tries to break this. One thing that Fenix has going for him is he's in an amazing position right now, and it looks like DDE is going to pull about 4 SCVs here to try and screen. I don't know why he's not waiting on the SCVs. There we go. Now the SCV's headed in, and he is going to be able to clean this up with relative ease, losing virtually nothing. I don't even know that he needed those SCVs. He has lost a little bit of his production, so it's going to take him a while to get his production back in line, but 70 to 51 supply right now. DDE just looking in tip-top form, ship shape, very sharp. His TVT right now looking solid. However, he did do a lot of damage with those cloaked Banshees, and that is really what's allowed him to get so far ahead in this game. Should Fenix have invested in Cloak, I think we would be looking at a very similar situation.
Yeah, because DDE had no sort of infrastructure for detection down. DDE knows he's at a huge advantage right now. Pushes in, takes out the last tank. He's going to be able to take out these Vikings as well, and he'll be able to use this Banshee to give him vision of the high ground, doing a lot of damage already to the siege tank.
Fenix.
Nope, all the rest of the SCVs pulled. GG's right away, has to leave the game.
And that was really just a matter of losing his entire push right there. I think he just overcommitted a little bit. He did get to that sweet spot, but keep in mind, he only had 2 tanks and about 10 Marines. He really didn't have the army to start elevating. In that position, you want to be able to elevator into the main and eventually kill all of his production, prevent him from producing units for quite a while, and that eventually allows you to win the game. However, with 2 tanks and 10 Marines, and I don't even know if he had a medevac.
He didn't have any medevacs.
So, unable to elevator anything into the main, and just gave DDE so much time to produce units as those buildings were slowly being killed by the 2 siege tanks, and eventually just got completely overwhelmed and surrounded and lost all that supply worth of units for essentially nothing, only killing maybe 3 SCVs and a couple Marines. So certainly not a cost-effective trade there, and that was his lifeline. That was his only army, and he had just lost so many SCVs previous to that. After losing that army, that was really all she wrote.
Yep, absolutely. So DD does manage to type the set. Sends us to the rubber match game number 3 of this best of 3. Don't forget, guys, this is still winners round 1 of IPL Season 2. We're going to bring the next match to you guys in just a second.
Stay tuned.